Doug Liman's Roadhouse remake earns a disappointing and unfortunate woof. That's not even in comparison to Rowdy Harrington's Good Time Brawler starring the late Patrick Swayze. It's underwhelming by baseline cinematic standards. Everything feels off. The shoddy digital effects are unappealing. All of the action tracking feels weirdly calibrated. Think motion smoothing meets animation. And the performances are a mixed bag. Writers Anthony Bagarazzi and Charles Mondry try their best to honor the ass-whooping comfort food that is 1989's Roadhouse. But their story serves a watered-down brew that's flatter than an open bottle of Bud Light left on some frat dude's nightstand for a week. What is Roadhouse about? Jake Gyllenhaal is trying as ex-UFC fighter Elwood Dalton and clearly put in the gym time to achieve an exceptionally shredded physique. Elwood fights dudes built like Post Malone for cash, until Frankie, Jessica Williams, offers him $20,000 to bounce her self-proclaimed battleground of a roadhouse bar called the Roadhouse. Elwood hops a Greyhound to Florida, ends up in the Keys, and immediately starts dealing with the beach bum riffraff who keep interrupting musicians behind Frankie's chicken wire barrier. Unfortunately, shady businessman Ben Brandt, Billy Magnuson, wants the Roadhouse property for himself and keeps sending his grunts to trash Frankie's watering hole until she gives up the joint. From the jump, Liman sets an odd tone in the way he shoots Post Malone beating the snot out of a bulky octagon opponent. Malone feels like a video game character in the way his moves are synthetically fluid, which is an indication of the wonky fight cinematography to follow. It presents as unreal, the same as the unbalanced ADR that lends credence to claims that it was accomplished using artificial intelligence. You might be wondering, how could a movie like Roadhouse, that's just about fighters trading blows, feel computer-generated? That's a great question. But when your animated water, animated wall-hanging fixtures, and animated aquatic-based scenery pieces look like they do in Roadhouse, it's relevant. Jake Gyllenhaal plays it straight in Roadhouse. Gyllenhaal's guilt-ridden take on Elwood Dalton is played as straight as can be, spending most of the film warning moronic surfer thugs in sleeveless tanks not to make him angry. As immaculately ripped as his abs-on-abs look, he's working with material that's blandly rudimentary even when trying to be a sarcastic, violent scamp or the nicest pulverizer in the Keys. Liman chooses to focus on mysteries outside Roadhouse, the bar, trying to ground a backstory in criminal insidiousness that treats Dalton like a nonchalant investigator. But the problem is, everything outside the tacky Roadhouse walls feels muted and procedural. Daniela Melchior attempts to stir up some romantic intrigue as Dalton's treating Medic Ellie, but even that feels secondary as Gyllenhaal's smarmy yet unfazed demeanor does neither performer any favors. Liman takes things too seriously, except for the literal menace to society Conor McGregor, whose role as a maniac mercenary, introduced buck naked, is a blend of Popeye's saunter, a silverback gorilla stiffness, and the terrifying honeycomb cereal mascot. His shtick gets old embarrassingly quickly, and his fights against Gyllenhaal use this awful first-person camera view, which lets McGregor punch the lens like a rejected Neville Dean and Taylor cinematography stunt. I'm not convinced Liman and his writers understand why audiences enjoyed the first Roadhouse, because this far less enjoyable action flick is light on everything we crave about the original, including throat rips. Roadhouse is the worst thing a remake like this could be. Boring. A Roadhouse movie shouldn't be boring, especially this boring. A Roadhouse movie shouldn't have to enhance its fight choreography in post-production, nor should it be such a tonal mishmash. I guess Liman didn't get the memo? His Roadhouse remake is an uninspired chore that never properly unleashes Gyllenhaal or nails even the most basic functions of bar fight nostalgia porn. There are brief highlights like Arturo Castro's goofily honest bad guy or Gyllenhaal's line reading of Who Taught You Shapes, but such pleasures quickly vanish. It's probably not a good sign when your movie's third-tier henchman is a shining star. But then again, the entire film has the personality of a nameless goon whose sole purpose is to eat a haymaker for breakfast.